It's called government assistance. It's supposed to assist you in bettering yourself, building up, and meant for a period of time. It's not meant to be your end all, be all, your destination for the rest of your life, your crutch to live off of for the rest of your life.
When the government sneezes, regular people catch the cold. And right now, people are coughing hard. EBT, housing assistance, food stamps, the lifelines that millions depend on are being cut, slowed, or shut down in certain areas. Now, everybody's got an opinion. Some are outraged. Some men are celebrating, saying, finally, women gonna have to depend on men again. Others are panicking, asking, how are we supposed to survive? But beneath all that chaos, there's something deeper, a question about power, dependency, and whether government assistance helped families or quietly broke them apart. When the line between assistance and dependency blurs, what actually happens? See, a lot of folks don't realize this. Welfare wasn't just about money. It was about control. When you look up what government assistance means, you'll see that it refers to financial aid and resources backed by the government to help certain people meet their needs. So essentially what we have here is a system wherein a small portion of our taxes are used to support people and families who are struggling. On paper, this is good, isn't it? Our money is being used to assist other people in the nation. In an ideal world, this would solve plenty of problems. Except when you look at it right now, it seems to be causing quite a number of it. A few seconds ago, I said certain people. Yes, as one would expect, there are specific criteria you need to meet to be able to avail these services. And it makes sense, because really, I don't think a millionaire would ever need to make use of food stamps. But this is specifically where it gets tricky. When you make criteria for what makes a person help worthy, there will be things you need to distinguish to ensure that the said person actually needs the help they seek. That may mean their combined household income has to be below a particular threshold, or that you have certain disadvantages like disabilities that hinder you from being smooth sailing in life. Now pay close attention to that bit on combined household income. Thing is, you have a higher chance of receiving aid as a single mother of however many children than you would as a married mother making just about the same amount of money. The system tends to be very selective, hence why you'd likely stand a better chance receiving aid if you are a mom with kids to feed versus as a single man who's also struggling trying to find a roof over your head. And the system basically told women, we'll take care of you, but only if you don't have a man in the house. And that's where the story changed. Back in the 1970s, especially around 1975, welfare programs were built in a way that unintentionally, or maybe even intentionally, made fathers optional. The message was this: we'll be your provider. You don't need him. That's where things started to fracture. That's where all the dissonance became real clear. Because if the state replaces the structure of family, what happens to the need for family itself? Fast forward to today, the government's pulling the plug on some of that assistance, and the ripple effects are about to hit every part of the culture. Families, men and women alike, are getting hit right at the jugular. So let's break everything down. When welfare first came into full swing, it was supposed to help struggling families get back on their feet. But the way it was structured, especially after the mid-70s, came with strings attached. Women could receive housing, food, and childcare support, but they had to remain single. And if a man lived in the home or supported her, she could lose her benefits. It doesn't matter if they were already struggling, even with the man pitching in. Some people boil it down to, oh, well, there's the both of you working. That's two incomes supporting the family already. But that's not taking into account that some jobs people manage to get are very low pay. We're talking the most minimum of minimum wage. With prices getting steeper by the day, it's no surprise that it's going to have to take more than twice the minimum wage to survive as a duo. What more, a whole family with kids in the mix? And genuinely, when I think about it, the less it makes sense to me. Because if there's another person contributing in the family and the struggle is still there, isn't that just a bigger reason to grant aid? We all pay taxes after all. All of us contribute, even the ones struggling right now by a small amount.
And I don't understand how you could be against government assistance. Bitch, that's our money. We're literally paying taxes. That's our money. If anything, the handout is to them. They take our money and do whatever the fuck they want to do with it. They didn't work for that, you did. When you've been paying taxes literally since you've been working at 16 and you get down on your luck at some point, you can't ask them for some fucking food stamps. You can't ask them to feed you after you've been giving them all your money for free for I don't know how fucking long. Like, how is that wrong? Like, what's going on in y'all's brains?
But unfortunately, that's not how the system works. So what do you think happened? Many women, especially in struggling communities, had to make a tough choice. Keep the father in the home and risk losing support, or live without him and keep the help coming in.
If you have to use SNAP benefits, you should get a job. And if you have a job that doesn't pay enough, you should get a better job. And if you don't qualify for a better job, you should get a college degree. But don't complain about your student loan debt and don't expect any kind of student loan forgiveness. And after all of that, if you still have to be on government assistance, you should always be thinking about how poor you are, and you should look poor, and you should act poor, and you should never get anything that brings you a single moment of joy, because you don't deserve dignity because you're poor. But I can't wait this Christmas season to do my angel tree and provide Christmas for a child in need.
It created a quiet divide. How would it not, when the system rewarded separation instead of unity? And truthfully, it's hard to blame the people who had to go their separate ways. This is the textbook definition of being between a rock and a hard place after all. It's easy to say that you'll be together for better or for worse, but when the kids are going to school with empty stomachs, you eventually get forced to make all the hard choices. Fathers felt pushed out, mothers felt cornered, and the kids grew up in homes where dependency replaced partnership. So when people say the government destroyed the family, this is what they mean. All of this happened gradually too, mind you. It's years upon years of buildup, and now with aid getting halved, quartered, and utterly decimated, the damage becomes startlingly evident. Right now, it's not looking too good for many people. Right now, it's even worse if you have children to worry about. Before the food stamp money, some of these people were already living on empty. With less to work with, it quite literally shifts into a crisis.
So I just finally got confirmation that food stamps is officially cut for next month.
About 2 months ago, I stopped eating dinner almost every night of the week so that my boyfriend and I could have enough food left over to have lunch the next day. This was before we were about to lose our food stamps. Mind you, we both work.
I don't think that we really realize the depths that this is, the damage that this is going to do, but the women, the mothers, and the families, but the mothers especially, who are going to go without meals so their children don't have to. I know that I will absolutely be one of those mothers.
Families who've depended on those benefits for years are suddenly left to figure out what now. For women, especially single mothers, this hits different. You've been told for decades that the system's got your back, that you won't have to worry if the kids could continue their schooling properly, or if you could even afford a cheap meal. Now, all of a sudden, the rug's being pulled from under you. It's one thing to suffer as an individual, but as a family, it's a whole other story. Rent's due, kids gotta eat, prices are up, and the same system that said we'll protect you is now saying you're on your own.
But many families, because they're living on the edge, and this is not the entire amount of money that helps them get groceries. It's $6 a day. If you're a family of 4, you're not filling your belly with $6 a day. It's what is keeping you from falling off the edge, right? And so many SNAP beneficiaries actually, by the time they get to the end of the month, they've already spent their entire SNAP benefits.
So if the men have been kicked out of the picture long ago and the government is backing out on their word, how can you even survive? For men, the reaction's split. Some are gloating, saying, now women gonna learn they need us. But hold up, that mindset misses the point. The goal is never for anyone to suffer. The goal should be to rebuild real partnerships where men lead, women support, and families stand on something stronger than subsidy. Face it, if you celebrate someone else's downfall, you're not building, you're just bitter. And I feel like I wouldn't be the fool to think that none of us should beat down people who are already fast approaching rock bottom. That virtually does nothing yet says a lot about the current state of our society. What we should be talking about is how to turn this crisis into a reset, one that forces men and women to reconnect and rebuild what the system broke. This isn't a time to throw around the blame, because guess what? We all got played. We all got forced to choose between surviving and living. And if you've ever known what it's like to fear for simple survival, you know exactly why it's hard to blame the women who turned to the government all those decades ago. Now, there are good and bad aspects to pick up from all of this. On the good end, yes, this could push families to depend on each other again. With the wedge slipping right off, it's the government in this case. The two separated sides inevitably meet in the middle again. Men might step back into leadership roles. Women might rediscover the value of partnership. Communities might start rebuilding from within, placing more value in togetherness. Because truthfully speaking, that is something we sorely lack in the modern age. But on the flip side, if we don't have structure, education, and opportunity ready to replace what's being taken away, we're just trading one disaster for another. If nothing changes in the root of the problem, that thing will eventually grow back and fester all the same. Perhaps even worse. You can't just cut the system off and expect people who've depended on it for generations to instantly stand tall. That's not how real life works. A good chunk of these people are already working themselves to the bone, yet still fail to make ends meet. Hence, why they need the system in the first place. Abolishing the system so suddenly would be no different from snapping a limping person's crutch. It's easy to tell people to just go ahead and get a better job. But really now, in this job market where even the cream of the crop graduates get rejected from entry-level positions, good luck on that. There's a whole lot of things that need to be reworked in society. And as citizens, we could do our part in repairing even the smaller cracks bit by bit. One of those cracks we could fill in, the gap this system has imposed between men and women. There needs to be a bridge, a transition where men are encouraged to step up, but women are also given a safe space to rebuild trust. Otherwise, this whole thing just becomes more chaos, more resentment, and more brokenness. We're already struggling. We already see conflicts left and right getting thrown even for what seems to be the most basic of human rights. So truly, this could be the start of healing. But only if we handle it with wisdom, not pride. At the end of the day, this never should have been yet another men versus women debacle. Rather, this is both sides against a system that has planted a false sense of security, as well as a rift between the people who should have been uplifting each other. The truth is, the welfare system was never about just money. It was about replacing the man's role in the home, playing this mockery of a provider when they ate their own words in the end. Now that the government's stepping back, the question is, are men ready to step forward again? Women aren't the enemy. The system was. And now both sides are going to have to relearn what partnership really means. So before anybody celebrates or complains, understand this moment for what it is. A test. Not of who's right or wrong, but of whether we, as a people, can rebuild family without needing the government to play middleman. The government already controls so much of our lives, from our nation's resources, our livelihoods, our federal safety. Let's not allow it to control what we keep safe in our homes too. As long as we pass that test, maybe we'll finally see the kind of unity that money could never buy. It's Current Champ, once again reminding you, we are two sides of the same coin made to fight back on our struggles as one. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.
And I'ma just do me. A new thing hold me down on 2 feet. That's 10 toes, bust 4, 5, and 6 foes. Need 2.